We officially have a Sonic the Hedgehog movie trilogy. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I've got my review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Before I give my honest thoughts on this movie, though, be sure to hit that like button, comment yours down below, as well as your predictions or expectations if you have not yet seen this movie. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. So I'm going to give you guys some Sonic background before we get into this review. I didn't grow up playing any Sonic games, so I have zero nostalgia or attachment to this character or this franchise over the years. I have essentially no knowledge about the characters or the lore. Outside of playing the Sonic Riders game on the GameCube, as well as the Mario and Sonic Olympic games on my DS growing up, I really am in the dark on much of the Sonic world. So this is going to be about as neutral of a review as you're going to find, because I don't have any real attachment. Just want to let you guys know where I'm coming from with that. As for the first two Sonic movies, I think they're fine at best. You know, there's fun to be had, but they're not really my jam. And so I walk out of this third film, and that's pretty much the case here yet again. I'll start with my pros first, though. Shadow is introduced as the main villain here, and he's easily the most complex villain of this trilogy. He has a tragic backstory that's fully fleshed out, so we know 100% where this guy's coming from. We understand why he's doing, what his villainous motives are. Like, he's not just evil to be evil. There's some genuine heartbreak behind this character. On top of that, Keanu Reeves steps in to voice Shadow and he delivers, which should come as no surprise. It's freaking John Wick we're talking about here. But when it comes to Shadow as a character, his presence enhances every single scene he's in. And he poses a serious physical threat as well. Early on, there's a scene with him fighting Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and he kind of wipes the floor with them pretty easily. This is in the trailer. This is very early on, so it's not even spoilery, but he really does just assert his dominance as the big bad villain of this film early on. And I was all in. I was sold on this character. If I were in this universe, I would be afraid to go toe-to-toe with him. And as far as characters, not only in this movie, but in the entire trilogy go, he might be one of the best written. Then you got Sonic the Hedgehog himself, the lovable blue hedgehog. He's easy to root for, and his arc in this film is fairly compelling, albeit somewhat repetitive, but it's still cool to see Sonic in a position where he wants to be that hero for people out there, but he's still so young in the game, and so him having to learn when to embrace that role of being the hero and make the right decisions, you know, set aside the rash, impulsive choices that he can make. It's pretty fascinating. And for hardcore fans of the games, there's going to be tons of moments that make you laugh or smile, whether that's an Easter egg, a nod. I can just tell that based on the crowd reaction at my early screening. I was in the media section, but there were just general audience members there as well. People were losing their minds, especially in the third act, and at the post-credits scene, people were going nuts. So I do imagine that hardcore fans of Sonic, if you're watching this and you're one of those hardcore fans, you will probably love this movie. But like I said, personally for me, not a huge Sonic fan here. This movie didn't really work for me. Transitioning into some of the cons here, I found this movie to be by far the silliest of the bunch. Various moments just left me cringing. And a lot of that stems from Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Robotnik, or Gerald Robotnik, because there are two Jim Carreys in this film. Two. I was never really into Jim Carrey's comedy films growing up. I admire him, I respect him as an actor, but a lot of his roles just kind of got under my skin more than anything. I never found them to be hilarious, and that's the case here. Robotnik's shtick in this universe has fully run its course for me. And like I mentioned, there's two Robotniks. You got our main Robotnik and then Gerald Robotnik. So there's double the goofiness. And the humor just constantly misses for me. More power to you if you found this movie funny. I'm not taking a shot at anyone who thinks this movie's hilarious. Again, I'm glad that you were able to laugh, but this movie's sense of humor could not be further from what I find funny. From a dance-off scene with the two Robotniks to Jim Carrey playing his belly like it's a drum, the jokes just fell flat time and time again for me, and I feel like of all the films, this one caters the most to like a really, really young audience, and because of that, Sonic 3 feels the most childish, to be honest, of the three movies. The most kiddie. And as for the main plot of the film, it doesn't really try anything new or too interesting. It comes off as pretty repetitive when compared to the other two movies. And lots of moments just felt overlong between the exposition dumps or some drawn-out flashbacks. I understand why they're there. You gotta set up that information, but I feel like they could have fine-tuned some things, because there were good chunks where this character is going to sit down and explain everything to you for 2 minutes straight. And while there are some visually cool action sequences, specifically in that third act, the flat-out cheesy showdowns between characters sort of overshadow the really badass action scenes. Like, they almost offset them. One scene would be pretty awesome, and the theater would be going crazy, and then we'd cut to another scene that just sort of sucked the life out of the movie. It really was a momentum killer, and I think a lot of that just falls on the goofiness. It was like overkill in this movie. Just goofball, really cheesy humor that missed the mark, and this was throughout the entire runtime of the movie. So all in all, Sonic fans will eat this movie up. I'm aware, trust me, that I'm not one of them. I'm just giving my honest thoughts on this movie. I'm not trying to sway anyone to my side or anything like that. I know this movie was made for Sonic fans, and so they're going to eat this up. I'm just not a Sonic fan, so I'm viewing this very neutrally, and it wasn't my cup of tea, but since the first two movies weren't, I'm not really that surprised to say this one's not either. As with the previous two films, there's some entertainment to be had, but aside from that, this one doesn't really resonate with me, and I don't see myself going back to it anytime soon. But those are just my honest thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Let me know yours in the comments down below, as well as your predictions or expectations if you have not yet seen it. Subscribe to that notification bell, and of course, stay tuned for more content coming very soon. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.